Hi everyone. Today our presentation will be on Apple Pay. My name is Carrie and my partner's name is Liz. So let's just get started. So just a little bit about Apple. Apple is a technology company that makes computers, phones, watches, develops apps, and much more. Apple was founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. I'm sorry if I butchered that name. Apple launched their first product in 1978, which was an Apple computer. Steve Jobs left Apple and decided to come back and launch the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad. Apple stood out because they were able to create a hardware and a software for all of their products. And then I thought it would be cool if I add in their mission statement. It's bringing the best user's experience to its customers through innovative hardware, software, and services. So we're going to talk about the long-term value of Apple Pay. Um, Apple has brought on Siri to help a lot of people, especially people who don't know how to navigate a cell phone. And Siri, they don't charge for people to use Siri. So essentially, they were trying to do the same thing with Apple Pay. They don't charge people to use Apple Pay, but they know that it will make people's lives easier. They keep using this term of getting rid of your wallet, essentially. So they don't charge for that feature, but they know in the long term that this will bring value to Apple and that they can kind of play off of this idea. Will Apple Pay be a huge success for customers? Why or why not? Apple Pay will be a huge success with the customers because it was designed to make life easier. The vision for Apple Pay was to replace the wallet by making payments on devices. Q noticed that billions of dollars were spent by consumers who shop online, and customers had to go through a tedious process to complete the payment. So I'm sure everybody knows when you buy stuff on online, they usually ask for your credit card number, CVV, and all these other questions. And although that is not hard, they wanted to make that process a lot easier. And with making that process easier, I'm almost certain online sales would go up. Consumers started using Apple Pay in 2014. Stats show that 25% of consumers use cash and 46% of consumers use credit cards or debit cards. Knowing this information, Apple knows if they can attach credit card payments to devices, they can make payments easier. Will Apple Pay be a huge success with consumers? Why or why not? Continued from the last slide. Apple Pay is a success to consumers because it's secure, easy, and private. So let's talk about it being secured first. Fraud is something that banks struggle with when it comes to customers losing their phones, losing their cards. And then on the other hand, a lot of people have been hacking or stealing information like by using the physical card. I'm sure you've heard examples of people putting their chips at the gas station, their card chips in the gas station, and then people like are stealing their information. So there's that. And then with Apple Pay, it doesn't require you to use a physical card, and it doesn't require you to add so much information. Essentially, you're just clicking the side of your phone, and then it scans your face and you pay for it. And then if it does ask you additional questions, it's just asking you to put in your password to your phone or asking you to put in your PIN, which is usually not the case. Um, for the next section is it's easy to use. Although paying with the card is not hard, there are multiple steps that have to take place. So with Apple, all you have to do is, like I said earlier, is click a button and then enter your password to your phone, and usually the transaction is over. Well, Apple Pay, this is a continuation of the last two slides. Um, Apple Pay is private. So most mobile wallets make money by using consumer purchase data. But Apple does not build their model around this concept. Apple does not disclose where the exact payment was made. I found this to be interesting because I myself use Apple Pay too, and I was comparing it to my Chase account when I like go into the app, and I was comparing it to like what Apple has, like, and Apple doesn't really necessarily track where you've made payments to the T, but like on my Chase account, it does. So essentially, I feel like Apple Pay kind of gives people some privacy. So like, I don't know, people are not in your business, which is it's pretty cool. Why did banks agree to partner with Apple for Apple Pay in the US? Apple Pay changed the customer's experience for banks, such as a new way of saving money on supplies, such as physical cards. A lot of people have started, as the years have gone by, a lot of people have started to rely on Apple Pay. I myself have too. There's times where I'll forget my debit card and I'll go into an establishment and ask, hey, do you guys take Apple Pay? And usually the answer is yes. So I think a lot of people rely on Apple Pay. I'm sure people still get cards just because it's still around, but I think that is a new way of saving money. Apple has grown an e-commerce transaction, which benefits the banks. So essentially, Apple Pay, they partner with banks, and like you're still like using, like for example, if I'm using my Chase card, you're still taking money out of your Chase account. It's just attached to Apple Pay. So if you're buying stuff online, you're still like Chase is still profiting in some type of way. So this has increased transactions for them. And then Apple Pay has reduced fraud for banks because people are not having to put their chips or their cards in the chip reader. That's one way to avoid fraud. Um, People don't necessarily have to carry around their debit card or their credit cards anymore. So people are less likely to lose them. So that is a way that banks have been able to avoid fraud. And then the next one is Apple increased revenue by eliminating cash and giving customers the ability to use their phones. Nowadays, it's really unlikely for people to carry cash around and to carry their cards around. And it's nice to give people the ability to use their phones to make payments. Like I mentioned earlier, there's times where I forget my wallet, my debit card, and I'm kind of like, oh, what do I do now? Well, thankfully now there's Apple Pay, so I could just simply use my phone. And then it's nice because it's not that you can only add your debit card on there. You can also add your credit card on there too. And another feature that I was not able to put in on this slide, but you're also able to add tickets to your Apple Pay or to your wallet. You could add tickets, and then I know if you buy things off of Eventbrite, you can add those tickets too. So they have expanded how they use this wallet for Apple Pay.
So are retailers excited about Apple Pay? When Apple Pay first launched in October of 2014, it was accepted in 700,000 retail locations within 6 months of its launch. It was a new, up-and-coming way of paying, and retailers were happy to jump on board and provide the service for the customers. By collaborating with the three largest U.S. payment networks, MasterCard, Visa, and American Express, the networks were more than excited to work with Apple Pay. They wanted payment volume, which Apple Pay would help drive. So below, we see one of the first campaigns that came out from American Express. By adding your American Express card to your Apple Pay, you were able to take it anywhere. Retailers adopting Apple Pay. So various retailers actually adopted Apple Pay for their own specific use. Panera, for example, incorporated Apple Pay into its stores and its app to increase throughput and ordering ahead during the busy lunch period. Whole Foods offered Apple Pay to customers as a way to provide a better experience for its wealthy, digitally savvy customers. And OpenTable decided to integrate Apple Pay to allow diners to pay their bill through OpenTable's app. There's obviously so many other retailers that you can literally order from your phone, pay with Apple Pay, and be on your right way. I know for us, when we were going into the office, this was a lifesaver when you were trying to run out for lunch, grab something quickly, and then come back for a meeting instead of having to wait in that line, order, and then pay. This was definitely revolutionary. What is Apple's motivation in launching? What was Apple's motivation in launching Apple Pay, right? So Apple's motivation to launch Apple Pay was to design Apple Pay for a better consumer experience. They wanted to support what people already used and loved. People were comfortable using their credit and their debit cards, and banks were great at doing what they were doing, like credit and customer service. Apple's motivation was to bring together the hardware, software, and services to create the experience on the phone. As long as it was easy, secure, and private, then it would definitely be something of value to its customers. So on the right, we actually see payment types used in the US by value of 2014, and card payments were at 46% at that time, which is great, right? Because people obviously want their points, they obviously want their miles, so they want to continue using their cards. All Apple did was facilitated to not have people digging into their pants for their wallets or looking into their purses, making it easy for the consumer and providing an overall better consumer experience. Should Apple make any changes to its pay rollout plan? The only change I can see Apple making to its pay rollout plan is staying ahead of the competitors by incorporating more enhancements to Apple Pay. While there was an upside for the payment networks in partnering with Apple, they were also exploring alternative payment technologies. So Visa had worked on developing the tokenization standards that Apple Pay used. MasterCard and Visa had each previously launched contactless cards that could be used to tap to pay in stores as well as mobile wallet solutions. In the end, it'll be up to the consumer who they decide to trust. If you care about the payments ecosystem, then the goal is to reduce cash and make payments simple, safe, and smart. Thank you very much. And I will stop the recording.